Good afternoon and welcome to this council meeting, Wednesday the 11th of December 2024. I'd like to start with a few house rules if I can. Mobile telephone reminder. Please turn off all your mobile telephones, or in the case of an emergency, advise me and I will add that you will switch to silent mode. Statement of acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Bunurong as the traditional owners and custodians of the lands and waters and pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. And I'll call on Councillor Bauer for the councillor statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All members of this council pledge to the Bass Coast Shire community to consider every item listed on this agenda based on the individual merits of each item, without bias or prejudice, by maintaining an open mind and disregarding council's personal interests so as to avoid any conflict with our public duty. Any councillor having a conflict of interest in an item will make a proper prior disclosure to the meeting and will not participate in the debate or vote on the issue.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. We'll move to item 1, which is present and apologies. I have no apologies for today's council meeting. So we'll go to item 2, declarations of interest. Also nil for that one. So we're moving through pretty quickly already, councillors. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. That the minutes of the council meeting held on the 20th of November 2024 be confirmed. Could I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Edwards, second. Councillor Temby. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Moving to item 4, Mayor and Councillor reports. I will let the community know that councillors will provide their reports as part of the minutes and will forego speaking to them at today's meeting. Item 5 is public question time. So we will move to public questions, where I will read the questions and the CEO will respond. Thank you. Sorry, I think I've got it the wrong way. Question 16. Sorry, my questions are out of order. I'm sorry, everyone. Thank you. That's why we have Chelsea here. She does an amazing job. Okay, the topic is Burn and Eat construction. Council stated that the Burn and Eat construction contract had a 12-month liability period, but no specified date for rectification of deficiencies. Were funds withheld by council to cover rectification costs in case the company could not rectify deficiencies or the company becoming insolvent? If not, why? And excuse me, Mr. Box, that was a question from Philip Davey.
Through the Mayor. Yes, the contract includes retention of funds to cover the cost of repairing defects.
Thank you. Question 2, Philip Davey. Topic is live streamed council meeting. At the RSL meeting for prospective Island Ward councillors, there was unanimous agreement from prospective councillors that the councillor meeting prior to the official council meeting each month should be live streamed with minutes of the meeting recorded, as this meeting is where interactions take place. When will this happen?
Through the Mayor, Council has no plans to live stream informal meetings of Council. The record of the informal meeting of Council, including topic of discussion and attendees, are published in the Council agenda.
Question 3, Louise Lyle. Topic, cultural heritage and flora and fauna overlays. Question 1. I have found that cultural heritage and flora and fauna overlays exist over all of the Esplanade and a large portion of Sunderland Bay and Surf Beach. When were these overlays imposed? Question 2. What are the requirements for road and property constructions and reconstructions in the affected areas?
Through the Mayor. In answer to question 1, the Aboriginal Heritage Act 2006 came into effect on the 28th of May 2007. The Vegetation Protection Overlay, or VPO, has applied since before 2000, with VPO 2 relating specifically to the protection of Indigenous and large native trees on Phillip Island. A significant landscape overlay was applied on the 3rd of March 2011 and relates to both the western and southern coast and the eastern coast of Phillip Island. Question 2. Cultural heritage and flora and fauna assessments are required on affected areas to inform individual project approval requirements, including requiring a planning permit to construct a building or construct or carry out works and removal of some vegetation, with some exemptions noted.
Councillors, could I ask on your laptops if you could silence as your emails are coming in? It's a little bit distracting. Thank you. Question 4 is from John Kuzma. Topic is Hilton Chadwick Reserve. How much would it cost to rezone the Carnival Land and Hilton Chadwick Reserve in Cowes?
Through the Mayor, the cost associated with a planning scheme amendment to rezone property is estimated at between $200,000 and $300,000. Rezoning of the land is not required in order to facilitate development of the site, as all of the proposed uses can be accommodated within the farming zone. Council is focused on using any available funding for the provision of infrastructure on the land.
Thank you. Question 6, Fred Morris. Topic Hilton Chadwick Reserve. Council has had hay baled on the Hilton Chadwick Reserve and the Carnival Land in Cowes. Would Council please provide details that include round bale numbers and the sell price per bale?
Through the Mayor, Council does not sell the hay from the named sites. The contractor who cuts and bales the hay receives the product in lieu of payment.
Sorry. Oh, I did throw you off there, didn't I, Mr. Box? I'm sorry. Question 5. Joe Warrilow. I really am out of sync with these public questions. Topic Hilton Chadwick Reserve. Would Council please provide a descriptive step-by-step stage process Council must adhere to for the rezoning of the Hilton Chadwick Reserve and the Carnival Land owned by Council?
Through the Mayor, the process for amending the planning scheme is set out by the Planning and Environment Act 1987. The process includes seeking the approval of Council and the Minister for Planning. Community exhibition of the amendment could also be required. A link to the State Government website detailing the process will be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Just keeping you on your toes. Question 7, John Trite. Topic Quarterly Community Report. Councillors, in the Council Quarterly Community Report ending June 2024, page 30, item X rate regional anti-vaping campaign, $180,000. How is this campaign being presented to the Bass Coast community and why?
Through the Mayor, in partnership with Gippsland Councils and the Gippsland Public Health Unit, Council has been successful in securing Vic Health funding to develop behaviour change campaigns with the aim of reducing harm from vaping and e-cigarettes for young people in Gippsland. Vape Free Victoria, in partnership with Vic Health, will see 29 councils, 5 universities, 5 sporting bodies and teams, the Alcohol and Drug Foundation, Quit Victoria and the Victorian Government work together to support young people aged 14 to 25 to understand the harms of vaping.
Question 8, John Trite. Topic Monthly Community Connection Sessions. Councillors' monthly and community connection sessions were discontinued due to the COVID epidemic. Will Council reinstate these monthly sessions for the community to enable them to present matters of concern to Council officers and councillors face to face?
Through the Mayor, additional community engagement opportunities are being considered. There are a variety of ways for the community to connect with Council, including via Engage Bass Coast, at community pop-ups, events, social media, or customer requests. Community members with concerns are also welcome to contact customer service or reach out to their ward councillors directly.
Question 9, Mario Boffa. Topic Capital Works Program. Council's first quarter Capital Works Program spreadsheet has a section Buildings. Within that section, it shows project 100863, Major Projects Capital Advancement, with allocated funding of $892,000. Where did the money come from? What is it for?
Through the Mayor, capital advancement is an additional contingency set up in response to significant volatility in the construction industry. The capital advancement allocation is rates funded. Council has included a budget allocation for capital advancement within its Capital Works program over the last 3 financial years.
Question 10, Gina Rosamilia. Topic, Hilton Chadwick Reserve. If council receives no objections to a planning change to rezone the Hilton Chadwick Reserve and the Carnival Land, then how long would it take to complete the rezoning from farming to recreational?
Through the Mayor, depending on the level of public interest, an amendment could take between 6 and 18 months to finalise.
Question 11, Terry Parkin. Topic, GPS trackers. Would council please explain how many council workers' vehicles is council in the process of fitting GPS trackers to at an approximate cost of $450,000?
Through the Mayor, Council is not in the process of fitting GPS trackers to council vehicles. There is no budget allocation in the 2024-25 budget for GPS implementation.
Question 12, Joe Warrilow. Topic, external auditors. Why did council obtain 2 external auditors' reports recently costing a large sum of ratepayers' funds when only 1 report was accepted by council?
Through the Mayor, Council did not pay for 2 external audits. Council pays for the financial and performance statements to be audited prior to submission to the Victorian Auditor-General's Office for independent verification.
Question 13, Bill Wilson. Topic, electric vehicles. Council has 8 electric vehicles. Would council please provide the work titles of the council people who drive these vehicles and take them home?
Through the Mayor, Council has a fleet of 12 electric vehicles. This includes 4 general pool vehicles, the mayoral vehicle, and 7 vehicles that are allocated to senior officers on a salary sacrifice basis. Council will not release the officer details as this forms part of their employment contract.
Question 14, Ernie Westergaard. Topic, building permit activity. The agenda to the 11th of December 2024 council meeting, page 111, provides a graph of building permit activity. November 100. Why is the above table for building permits issued by council showing 000 in 3 columns?
Through the Mayor, since the privatisation of the building surveying industry, all building permits are typically issued by private building surveyors.
Question 15, John Kuzma. Topic, annual report. The 2023-24 annual report, page 107, reports contributions, non-monetary, land, $5.875 million, plus provide the names of the individual land addresses for a site visit.
Through the Mayor, Council acquired 14 parcels of land through the construction of new estates in 2023-2024. The addresses of the land acquired will be included in the minutes.
Question 16, Graham Jolly. Topic, strategic objectives. The Council Plan 2021-25 lists 6 strategic objectives. Please provide for each strategic objective a listing showing the headings with their budget plus carryover allocations of funding for 2024-25.
Through the Mayor, the 2024-25 budget available on Council's website includes the budget allocation aligned to each strategic objective. Council's financial systems map expenditure at a divisional and departmental level rather than to the strategic objectives. Council does not report carryover allocations against strategic objectives.
Question 17, Bill Wilson. Topic, annual report. Council reported in its annual report on page 107 contributions non-monetary for infrastructure with an asset value of $6.395 million. What is this infrastructure and where is or are they located?
Through the Mayor, property developers may be required to provide infrastructure as part of the planning permit conditions of individual Section 173 agreements or the Wonthaggi North East Precinct Structure Plan. The breakdown of assets and their value that were gifted in 2023 will be included in the minutes.
Question 19, Terry Parkin. Topic, infrastructure maintenance. Please explain. What is Council's understanding of its structure of infrastructure maintenance?
Through the Mayor, during the Council induction program, councillors are provided with an organisational structure including infrastructure maintenance.
I'm just going to let you know, councillors, that there was a unallowed question in this, and so my numbers are not right. So I'm going to question 19, Mr. Box. Ernie, which on your paper will say 20, I'm sorry. Ernie Westergaard, topic governance rules. What are the governance rules that determines that the Mayor can rule that a councillor's notice of motion presented to council for a meeting will not be allowed?
Through the Mayor, Section 23 of the Governance Rules outlines the requirements for notice of motions. The Chief Executive Officer is responsible for accepting or rejecting a notice of motion.
Question 20, Joe Warrilow. Topic operating carryover. Council's fourth quarterly ending 30th of June 2024 provides a listing of operating carryovers to 2024-25. One listing is for Urban Forest Fund of $156,000. What is this going to be expensed towards?
Through the Mayor, the Urban Forest Fund allocation for 2024-25 is funding the coordinated delivery of actions under Council's Urban Forest Strategy. This includes the launch of Bass Coast's first significant tree register and the planting of more than 1,400 new advanced street trees in townships this year.
Question 21, Kevin Griffin. Topic governance rules. The Bass Coast Shire Council governance rules were last reviewed and endorsed by councillors in July 2022 and are now overdue for review by councillors. As per past its practice, when will council be seeking community submissions on proposed changes to the governance rules?
Through the Mayor, the governance rules were due for review in August 2024. The review was held over pending the elections and will be conducted in the first half of 2025 in conjunction with the new council.
Question 22, Kevin Griffin. Topic South East Council's Climate Change Alliance. The 2019 Memorandum of Understanding between South East Council's Climate Change Alliance and Bass Coast Shire Council was due to expire on June 30, 2024, unless extended. What date has the MOU been extended to?
Through the Mayor, the current Memorandum of Understanding is effective through June 30, 2028.
Question 23, and the last question on our list today, is from Prudence Schultz. Topic Powlett Ridge, Wonthaggi. Powlett Ridge Estate residents wish to know where their promised park will be located and the works begun by council. We believe the developers gave the money to council for council to do the job. Planning regulations exclude the drain area off Connection Road being considered usable public space.
Through the Mayor, council officers have required the developer of Powlett Ridge Estate to provide a cash contribution for public open space to contribute towards embellishing of public parks. The Wonthaggi North East Precinct Structure Plan identifies future parkland across the precinct. It does not identify a new park within Powlett Ridge Estate.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Moving back to our agenda, we're now at item 6, notices of motion, of which we have none today. So we'll go to item 7, petitions, joint letters, deputations and correspondence. Again, we have none. So moving to reports requiring council decision, 8.1, 1517 to 1529 Bass Highway, Grantville. Ms. Taylor, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present to Council a planning application for the use and development of the land for a service station, convenience restaurant, retail premises and childcare centre at 1517 to 1529 Bass Highway in Grantville. The site is located in the mixed-use zone and is also covered by a development plan overlay. This application is before Council as the cost of works is in excess of $5 million. In accordance with the recommendation contained in the officer's report, it is recommended that a planning permit issue. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Could I have a councillor to move the recommendation?
Madam
Councillor
Mayor, I'd
Temby?
like to move an alternative.
Thank you, Councillor Temby. Your alternative, will we display that? Is displayed on the screen. Do I have a seconder for councillor Temby's alternative? Councillor Thompson? Thank you, councillor Thompson. Councillor Temby, would you like to introduce?
Yes, I can't read it over there, but the alternative is to do with the...
Sorry, councillor Temby, I think I need to vote for the alternative, do I? No. No, I just, okay, sorry, councillor Temby.
You've got the alternative.
Yes. It's point D under 1.
There we go.
Right, fencing along the frontage of Glenalby Road to be altered to withstand vehicle collision or other alternative solution to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. This is, being a childcare centre, I believe we have a greater responsibility to ensure the safety of the kids, particularly playing between the fence line and the building. The childcare facility is on the intersection of the highway and Glenalby Road. There's a foreseeable likelihood of incidents occurring, whether they're single or multiple vehicle incidents, through medical conditions of the driver or inattention, whatever. Where there is a history of vehicles leaving the road and crashing into buildings. I think that it's incumbent upon us to ensure that there are sufficient barriers between the intersection and the childcare centre to ensure the safety of the kids.
Thank you, councillor Temby. Councillor Thompson?
I endorse councillor Temby, thank you.
Thank you. Do any other councillors have any questions or comments? Councillor Morgan?
I'd like to also speak in support of that amendment or alternative and thank Councillor Temby for bringing that to the table. At the end of the day, I'm thrilled to be supporting any proposal of new early childcare education in Bass Coast. We have childcare deserts all over regional Victoria, stopping so many parents and carers from returning to work with waiting lists through the roof. The early childhood education sector is in absolute crisis and will remain in crisis until all levels of government start treating early childhood education like they do primary and secondary school. It should be free and universal and properly funded for every kid in this state.
Thank you, councillor Morgan. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Bauer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Directly to the change in the alternate, I think we have to look at the recent history. First with the Daylesford collision, where there were no barriers and the car, both were apparently of a medical condition, that rammed into the people and killed people. And also, more importantly, which ties in with the childcare centre, is the Auburn South tragedy, where again a lady with a medical condition crashed through the fence and created havoc at the school. And I think this is a prudent measure that has been put into the alternate, and I will be voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Bauer. Any further comments or questions, councillors? Councillor Temby, put to the vote, or would you like to sum up?
No, I think the summary has been provided well. That's good.
Fantastic. So we'll put that to the vote, councillors. All those in favour of the alternative that councillor Temby has put? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. We move to 8.2, planning application 220136 for 151 Marine Parade San Remo. Ms Taylor to introduce the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present to Council a planning application for the construction of a 4-storey building at 151 Marine Parade in San Remo. The site is located in the commercial zone and is covered by design and development overlay. A waiver of car parking is also sought. The application is before Council as 20 objections to the development have been received. Objections have been considered in the assessment of the proposal, and it's recommended that Council issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for the application. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Taylor. Do I have a councillor to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Temby. Councillor Thompson, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. My concern is this will increase traffic around the central district of San Remo and may cause it to be more difficult to find a car park close to the 2 hotels and bakery. The reality is more drivers will seek parking in the rear car park behind the residential apartments and cause anguish for those residents. The application has 11 offices in the plan, and I understand the site was too small to build an underground car park. One would assume at least 20 parking spaces would be required for staff and clients. However, the legislation allows a sacrifice of only 9 parking spaces, and this has been applied to the permit. In the San Remo Township Structure Plan currently being assessed, I hope this council will address the issue of parking in San Remo. One avenue that could be applied is a parking overlay where developers pay for sacrifice parking spaces, and the Mayor is in discussion with council officers on this issue. In Cardinia Shire, developers pay a $12,000 fee for each sacrifice parking space in the Pakenham Business Precinct. This does go into future funds for further parking spaces. All developers should pay for parking, either allocated in their plans and, if not, a sacrifice parking fee. We need to explore this avenue and other parking options. Although this permit does fit the requirements under the legislation and will pass in this chamber, I do understand the 20 plus objectors feel aggrieved, and I also registered my concern and know as a council we need to urgently address this parking issue in San Remo. The one shining light is the 2 extra disabled parking spaces outside the new office building. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Temby, would you like to add?
Madam Mayor, in support of that, the principle should apply that the developers who are creating a need for people to their parking should be obliged to provide that parking, or to provide a means for somebody else to provide it through the some sort of offset system where funds are provided to the council to do so. And I think that we need to see that as a Shire-wide approach, that some sort of overlay for the whole Shire, that if you are developing a facility where people need to drive to attend, that parking should be an obligation whether you provide it or somebody else does.
Thank you, Councillor Temby. Any further comments from councillors or questions? Councillor O'Brien?
Madam Mayor. Yes, look, I would second, third those sentiments. I mean, I think that, you know, this application is, you know, should be passed, but I think that we see, well, in the short time that I've been here, we've got a motion in front of us, a proposal requesting a waiver of parking. We have a history of these waivers of parking, you know, certainly on Phillip Island, and I think we need to recognise that that waiving these things through and granting these waivers is so slowly strangling our communities. You know, we've got so many parking problems on Phillip Island. We have some really large projects there that have also been granted waivers over their parking. So I think that, you know, as a council, you know, we need to signal very strongly that, you know, that this is not the direction that, you know, that I think that this council would like to take.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Bauer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just draw the new councillors' attention to the failed motion I put up in the last council in regards to parking problems on the island and addressing the waivers. It's well worth looking at that, and I hope we move forward with the integrated transport study, and it's captured in that as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Thompson, would you like to sum up or put to the vote?
I'd like to put it to the vote. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. All those in favour of the recommendation? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving to 8.3, immediate protection of key assets in Inverloch in response to coastal erosion. Ms Kennedy to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide a response to the urgent notice of motion tabled at the November 2024 council meeting. Specifically, the motion called for a report addressing the following: options other than salmon nourishment for medium-term solutions including type of mitigation, time to implement and indicative costings, ensure safe access to the beach is maintained, and to ensure safety measures are put in place while works are undertaken to ensure the safety of those enjoying the Inverloch Surf Beach. This report provides a summary of Council's role in managing the Inverloch coastline, what has been undertaken to date, what is planned going forward. The report makes the following recommendations. That Council note the findings of this report and continue to monitor the Inverloch foreshore and undertake sound renourishment when required to protect existing assets. Write to the Minister for Environment requesting a meeting and commencement of the large-scale dune restoration as soon as possible, and request DECA to establish ongoing community information program to provide clear and regular updates regarding the project and next steps. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Kennedy. Do I have a councillor to move? Councillor O'Brien?
Madam Mayor, yes, look, I propose an amendment to the recommendations.
Alternative?
An alternative, yes, alternative motion.
Thank you. It's always confusing whether it's an amendment or an alternative. So we have that alternative, councillors, up on the screen. Do I have someone to second the alternative? Councillor Edwards, thank you. And now we'll go to Councillor O'Brien to introduce. Thank you.
Yes, look, I'll just preface that by saying I won't be talking through each of those items there. I'll leave that for people to read. But the 3 minutes starts now. Okay, so I propose this amendment to the recommendations of the report to strengthen the proposed actions and to more closely align those recommendations with the expectations of both the Inverloch and Silverleaves community, each under threat by advanced coastal erosion and each subject to proposed works to protect community assets, property and coastline amenity. This amendment is also to bring the erosion and proposed works at Silverleaves more clearly into the scope of the report. I thank the council officers, Ms Kennedy and her team, for work on this. As councillors, we've been pleased to have the opportunity to speak forthrightly with the respective community groups and representatives who have been watching with growing alarm the degradation of their coastlines posed by stronger and more frequent storms, higher tidal surges and deepening and potentially more catastrophic impacts. We've spoken with residents who are genuinely anguished by the prospect of property loss, unsaleable properties, uncertainty and helplessness, while waiting for action by DECA, by government and yes, by council. They want to see the reports, consultants' findings and recommendations turned into effective action. And of course, many residents are unaware of the way the different layers of government dovetail on these complex matters of coastal erosion. But we have to remind ourselves that these residents whom we represent, they are like the residents in a valley watching a bushfire approaching. They just want something done. They don't want to hear about why it's difficult. They expect the council to see them, to hear them, to recognise the emergency and to help. And as councillors, this is our noble duty, to see and hear the people we represent and to respond with appropriate action. With this alternative, we recognise the ongoing works at Inverloch and the initiatives underway addressing items identified in the 7-point plan supplied by the community, notably the sand renourishment works, and of urgent actions to ensure beach accessibility and safety. Councillor Edwards may wish to expand here. For Silverleaves, the advanced scouring there, resulting in part from the revetment previously installed, is now undermining the lee side of the dune. It's on the downhill run that sits between the tidal high water mark and properties backing onto Woodland Avenue. So with this alternative, we strengthen the advocacy of council in leaning on the Minister and Department to commence large-scale dune restoration as soon as practicable at Inverloch and for urgent funding for the solutions proposed as interim protection for the Silverleaves foreshore. I'm very pleased for the input of fellow councillors on this and for the work of Councillor Edwards. My thanks to each and to the Mayor and Deputy Mayor for this support for these affected communities. And that's where I'll leave that.
Well done, Councillor
Yeah.
O'Brien. That was
Well
right
done.
in 3 minutes. You
There
did
we are.
well. Councillor Edwards.
Let's hope I can make 3 minutes too. Thank you to officers for your work in bringing the original report to the table for this meeting. It provides valuable information both to council and community, much needed and valued. Thank you to Council Laws, especially Councillor O'Brien, for working robustly and collaboratively together to come to a position of advocacy to adapt and protect our community's public and private assets. Councillor O'Brien and I organised a visitation of councillors to Silverleaves on the 19th of November, and on the 3rd of December viewed firsthand the immediate need at Inverloch and met with community representatives from ITA, the Surf Club, the Conservation Society and the Foreshore Action Group. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the individual community members who have contacted me privately with their concerns. At Silverleaves, the councillor group were shocked at the extent of the gouging beyond the end of the revetment and the threat there to residents' homes. A report by consultants FSC Range shows that the foreshore at Silverleaves has retreated by more than 70 metres since 1953, but as much as 16 metres in the past 2 years alone. At the meeting at Inverloch, councillors asked the community leaders present to provide an understanding of what action they would like council to take. This was provided by way of correspondence received on the 6th of December, which will be tabled with my council law report for the minutes of this council meeting today. In summary, their overriding action was a clear one: to protect our town, to protect Inverloch. Officers are continuing in addressing that. There are some actions in that 7-point plan which councils are already doing, and I'll just summarise those as following. That officers are continuing to monitor the beach, work with contractors and the Surf Life Saving Club to ensure appropriate access to the beach, work on sand renourishment and ensuring dunes are stabilised and protected, meeting with community representatives and have closed a number of beach access tracks, which the map is included in the report as tabled for the agenda today. The team are looking at putting bunting across paths, have installed unstable cliff signs, and all of this will be reviewed and monitored to ensure its effectiveness. Are developing a communication strategy and ongoing engagement to liaise with both representatives and the broader community. Because I think we can acknowledge that there's been a lot of action that council has been doing and other areas of government, but there has been a gap in terms of what community are aware of and how they've been engaged, so we're going to ramp that side up. Following further discussion with community representatives, are open to investigating the requests made of possibility and investigating the need for a community bus, but just looking at what that need is and the possibility of it, so investigating that. Moving forward, we look forward to open dialogue with community to keep abreast of their concerns and of council keeping our community informed and engaged of how we are advocating to adapt and protect our region. The state government investment of protecting Inverloch and Silverleaves is far less than the cost of not protecting it. And again, I reiterate that cost of the state government investment there. I am delighted that this council, through the endorsement of today's motion, is advocating strongly for our community in this space.
Good job, you made it, Councillor Edwards, 3 minutes. Is there any other councillor that wishes to speak? Councillor Morgan and then Councillor Temby.
See me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the call. I'd like to also thank Councillor O'Brien for this alternative motion. First and foremostly, I'd like to thank the council officers for their work on this report and the tremendous amount of ongoing emergency works that are happening, particularly down at Invi Surf Beach. I'm an Inverloch resident and I see the works happening there all the time. I can't say this more clearly. We need the state government to listen to our community. We are in a climate crisis and sticking your head in this ever-eroding sand is not a solution. People's insurance premiums are through the roof. There is zero compensation strategy being developed for literally stranded assets, and people are understandably worried and frustrated. At the end of the day, this council has a tiny budget. It is DECA's responsibility to fund the dune renourishment or any alternative strategies. Bass Coast is going above and beyond to do the immediate protection works of sacrificial sand, and I'm very happy to support particularly the elements of this motion calling on the state government to come to the table with funding. I do also feel the need to mention that this is not an Inverloch specific problem. Welcome to the climate crisis, folks. Inundation is inevitable now, and so much of Bass Coast and South Gippsland is low-lying and will be impacted, as will coastal communities all over Australia. We can't sit here working in unfunded silos. We need a nationally coordinated response to climate impacts. So again, thanks to the council officers for their work and to Councillor O'Brien for this alternative. We are, from my understanding, completely united in our call for the state government to listen to the concerns of our coastal communities.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Temby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to support Councillor Morgan's comments there. In addition, and you've pinched a couple of my points, so I'll skip those. We all share enormous concern and empathy for the people who are being affected now and who will be affected into the future. But climate change projections are being exceeded consistently, and new information is suggesting that sea level rise is probably going to be higher than what we're currently expecting to occur, and it will happen faster than expected as well. So, coupled with the short and medium term protection issues, which I totally support, we need to take those inundation issues into account when we're making decisions about longer term activities. And this being, Councillor Morgan mentioned a national issue, it's a global issue that will have massive implications on every single one of us. And so we need to be conscious of that in any decision making at a local level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Temby. Councillor Tassari?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor O'Brien for this alternative motion, and also Councillor Edwards for the amount of work that they've done to get it to this point, but also to bring it very much on the front page of this new council group. I'd like to say that our council staff have been working so hard on this for a number of years with a number of state government departments. But I take on board the communication side of things, and people out there in Inverloch in particular are very unaware of what work exactly has been getting done. So the commitment to up our communications between ourselves and the Inverloch community is a very real one and a very positive one moving forward. I'm also very mindful of the fact that 70% of the Bass Coast border is coastline. So this is an issue that we are facing not only in Inverloch and in Silver Leaves, but in a number of areas as well. So at this stage, with a tiny budget, as Councillor Morgan just spoke about, advocating to the state government and the federal government is the best thing we can do. Listening to our community and pushing the state and federal government to the urgency and let them know the urgency of what we are facing is what we intend on doing from this moment forward. And it's actually a refreshing position to be in. And once again, thank you to the two councillors that pushed us here, or guided us here.
Thank you, Councillor Tassari. Councillor Bauer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers watching this meeting. Firstly, I wish to congratulate the officers for the original report, well done, and the councillor group for the way we reached a consensus on this alternate motion. I know this report is concentrating on Inverloch and Silverleaves because of the urgent motion. The same urgent motion could have been used for a number of the Shire's waterline townships. An example, Cows West in front of the Cows Yacht Club. The erosion is just short of the boat storage yard there and just received the sand re-nourishment which will be washed away in the next storm. The urgency of undertaking emergency measures to save not only assets but also the foreshore is undeniable. It has been proven that continually dumping sand lasts as long as the next storm. The problem we face is that the scope of the work required is beyond the financial capabilities of council. The state government and most likely the federal government must step up to the plate and provide the finances required. Page 93 of the report states, currently council has a budget of $150,000 for emergency works to respond to the coastal erosion, including sand renourishment. This budget will be exceeded in this financial year. The option of extending the geotextile sand compartment wall is not currently funded by DECA and just shifts the problem up the beach. Even we use the entire 500,000 climate emergency fund for these, we'll be throwing good money at an impossible situation. This report is only part A of an overall erosion picture. It does not mention the other hotspots in the Shire from Jamja up to Inverloch, and including the island. Section 4 of this motion, directly advocating to the Minister, is so important because the letter only goes so far, but a meeting face to face brings a totally different dynamic to the conversation and hopefully will bring the outcomes we desperately need. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Do any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor O'Brien, would you like to put to vote or sum up?
If I may just sum up, Madam Mayor, yes, look, it was a terrific experience, you know, working with the whole of council to arrive at a consensus position here. And on such an important topic, I mean, Bass Coast Shire Council we're a coastal shire council, and while it's many things, you know, farms, woodlands, you know, friendly towns, local businesses, and the like, at the heart of this region is its unspoiled ocean and bay vistas. That's where its tourism economy rests, and why it's so important for us to do, as Councillor Morgan suggested. You know, we really do have to bang on doors about this one, and not only for those affected residents, but also, you know, for the future of the region, and for so many businesses and so many people that, you know, that rely on you know, coming to wonderful beaches where they can play safely, kids can play safely. That this is why it's so important to us, and why that last point is so important, if I may. Just that, you know, having a delegation of the mayor and the deputy mayor to stand in front of the minister, you know, so that he can feel some of the passion, you know, about what's driving this, and you know, I'm sure we'll get an outcome from that you know, our community is waiting for. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour of the alternative? That's carried.
Do you have a division on it? I think the minutes should show that we all have been.
Calling for a division. I need a seconder for a division, Chelsea. No? So all those in favour? Councillor Bell, Councillor Edwards, Councillor O'Brien, Councillor Temby, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Tassari, Councillor Bauer, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Halstead. Thank you.
So the minutes are there.
Moving to 8.4 on the agenda is the appointments to council committees and external committees. Ms Borley to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to appoint councillor delegates to council and external committees. It's recommended that councillor delegates are appointed to represent council across a broad range of interest areas, including committees with a statutory function and those operating in an advisory capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Borley. So we have a list of the councillors. We're just going to move. Can I have a councillor to move that list? Councillor Tassari, second Councillor Temby. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Moving to 8.5. Council meeting schedule. Ms Borley to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek council endorsement of the proposed meeting schedule for 2025. Council's governance rules requires council to fix the date, time and place of council meetings and provide notice to the community. It is recommended that council continue to meet on the third Wednesday of the month between February and November, and the second Wednesday of the month in December, with the meeting location to be shared between Wonthaggi Council Chambers and Burnanee. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Borley. Do I have a councillor to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson. Councillor Tassari. Thank you. All those in favour? Oh, Councillor Thompson, would you like to speak to the schedule?
Oh, yes, I will speak to the schedule.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I like the way you wisdom.
Just moving it along. Thank you very much for the officers for taking this into account. It's very important. Everyone down in Cowes on Phillip Island get the opportunity to see us in action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. The seconder, Councillor Tassari, would you like to speak?
Oh, no, thank you for the opportunity though, Madam Mayor, but I'm happy to.
Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Thompson to the vote?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, here we go. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Moving to 8.6. Audit and Risk Committee Charter Review. Ms Borley to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council adopted the Audit and Risk Committee Charter in 2020, which requires review every second year. The Audit and Risk Committee have reviewed the Charter and have endorsed the inclusion of 2 new clauses and a range of changes to improve the language and formatting. It is recommended that Council adopt the revised Audit and Risk Committee Charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Borley. Do I have a councillor to move? Councillor Tassari, a seconder. Councillor Temby. Councillor Tassari, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just quickly, being the Mayor at the time of the last time this was adjusted and the slight changes that have occurred this time around, it's good work again by our staff and happy to endorse.
Thank you, Councillor Tassari. Councillor Temby, did you have anything to add? Anyone else wish to speak or questions? Councillor Tassari, put to the vote.
Put it to a vote, Madam
All
Mayor.
those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Alrighty, this is where we get real curly. Item
Yeah, I
9,
thought you'd
the
already got there.
statutory reports. So I would like to ask council to move as a block 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. Just going to check if there's a 9.5. No.
So move.
Councillor Bauer, do I have a seconder? Councillor Tassari. All those in favour of moving as a block? That's carried. So we now move 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bauer, a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Does anyone wish to speak to any of the reports? No one? Alrighty. Councillor Bauer, are you happy to put to the vote? Yes. All those in favour? That's carried.
Well done.
Alrighty. Item 10, urgent business. We don't have any urgent business today. So I will now say the next council meeting will be held on the 19th of February 2025 in the Bass Coast Civic Centre Council Chamber, Ballieu Street East, Wonthaggi, commencing at 1 p.m. And just before I close the meeting, I would like to wish our community and all those watching from our council to your families, have a very safe and festive season. Please be careful on the beaches, pay attention to the signage, and we look forward to seeing you all again in February. So with that, I will say the meeting is to be closed. Members of the public pursuant to Section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider an item as it deals with A, council business information being information that would prejudice the council's position in commercial negotiations if prematurely released. Councillor to move the motion. Councillor Temby. Councillor Bell to second. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried.
Season's greetings to everybody.